Hello and welcome to the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel for our bumper preview of the Dublin Racing Festival. What a weekend we have in store. Of course, unfortunately, there is no Sam here. He's busy working on our Cheltenham preview, and you need to stay tuned for that because we have an exciting announcement over the next couple of days of what to expect and whereabouts it's going to be happening. Now, I do fortunately have his picks for this weekend in his main selections, and I think it's fair to say his nap, he's very, very bullish about. I don't usually see Sam as bullish as he is about his nap, but hopefully you guys are going to manage to see that at the end of the video. Now, of course, there's only one place to start, and that is a humongous thank you for 1,000 subscribers. I mean, it's actually a year ago today that our first video came out. It's unbelievable to see the videos we've been able to make, the content we've been able to create, and of course, the people we've been able to meet. So thank you ever so much for the continued support. The more you keep liking, subscribing, and getting involved, the more we'll keep making the videos. And yeah, I mean, what a year it's been. So a humongous thank you. And without further ado, let's get into the preview. So to start off, we're going to be looking at the Nathaniel Lacey and Partners Solicitors Novice Hurdle. It's a grade 1 over 2 miles 6, a race that I'm quite fond of after Gail de Manil went and rocked up in last year and went and won. Now, of course, it's a big race if you're looking at the Albert Bartlett and the Ballymore market. And at the moment, the market looks like this. You've got Hollow Games as your 9-4 favourite. Manella Crooner, a lot of money has been coming for. He's now as short as 4-1. Grand Jury's 11-2. Bron is 11-2. Eric Bloodaxe is 6-1. And it's 14-1 bar those. Now, it's a very intriguing race, it must be said. I think it's clear to say Hollow Games and Grand Jury will probably appreciate 3 miles, but I do think they kind of remind me of Fakira last year, who looked like a little bit of a plodder. Perhaps give him 3.5 miles, 4 miles, give him 10 miles. I think they'll still be staying on at the line. I'm just not sure they quite have the class. I mean, Bron's very intriguing. Of course, showed a plenty of promise on his second run at Naas, and I think it's intriguing how Paul Townend has opted for Bron. So it'll be intriguing to see how he gets on in just his third run. But for me, I think Manella Crooner is a very solid bet at 4-1. I mean, for me, his form just looks rock solid throughout his career. I mean, even his point-to-point form isn't working out that bad. Now, he was second to Journey with Me at Leopardstown on his penultimate start, and considering, I mean, he hit every single hurdle he went into, couldn't jump a twig, but he stayed on in great style to actually finish second ahead of Kilcruit, and I think it's fair to say he has franked that form completely. So Journey with Me is looking like a serious Ballymore contender after the piece of that form. Manella Crooner then came out after over 3 miles, relished to step up in trip, and then bolted up with consummate ease, I think it's fair to say. So 4-1, I think, is not a bad price whatsoever. I do think that the further he goes, the better he's going to go. The short drop back to 2 miles 6 could be a little bit of a problem on ground, which is probably a little bit better than he would actually like. But I think at 4-1, he looks a pretty solid bet. And what a matchup we have in the second race of the day. It's the 135. It's the Grade 1 Juvenile Hurdle. I don't think you really need to look outside the top two in the market, which are, of course, Phil Daw and Vauban, about 6-4 joint favourites at the moment. I think the market probably has it spot on. I think they're so hard to split. Of course, Vauban was second to Pied Piper last time out. I think it's a euphemism to say that form has been franked after what Pied Piper did to his poor rivals at Cheltenham last time out. It'd be intriguing to see how Vauban does get on. Of course, he's going to come on for that run. He absolutely clattered into the last, which inevitably cost him the race when he was coming back at Pied Piper. The experience of Phil Daw might tell. Now, I think Phil Daw's hurdling debut at Down Roar was one of the best jumping performances I've seen from a juvenile in many a year. I think he looked almost the complete package as a juvenile could do. How much he's actually come on from that, I'd be a little bit sceptical. I don't know how much he's actually improved, what he's actually beaten so far. But I think his experience edge might actually tell here. Of course, Gordon Elliott with his comments saying that Phil Daw is probably the one who's showing more at home. Then Pied Piper is an intriguing point. Not too sure I'd be basing my betting off those trainers' comments, but it was intriguing to see when I was actually at Cheltenham. I managed to grab a chat with Gordon Elliott as he was walking up the chute, and he definitely looked at me in a definitive way, looked me in the eye and said Phil Daw is the better of the two. So that is intriguing to me. I'll probably just be siding with Phil Daw, but it's fair to say I'll be happy to sit back, relax, and hopefully watch an absolute ripstormer of a race. Now, the 210's the Irish Arkle. It's not really a race that is properly going to take my fancy. Of course, Fernie Hollow being out for the season is a big blow because I think he probably had the world at his feet in the Arkle. It'll be intriguing to see if he actually does manage to come back next year. It'd be a shame if he doesn't because, of course, he's been baned with injuries so far. But, I mean, hopefully he'll be able to come back. Now, of course, Blue Lord is your 15-8 favourite. You've got Riviere de Tel at 9-4. Horton Color is 4-1. And St. Sam is 9-2. You've got 66-1 bar those. Now, Blue Lord has been relatively impressive so far. But I think Fernie Hollow put in a brilliant performance to actually beat Riviere de Tel. giving her £13. Now, Horton Couleur and both Blue Lord have to give her £7 and £9 respectively. And I think they'll probably both have to put up a big performance to actually turn her over here. I mean, St. Sam also is giving weight away. I think St. Sam's actually quite intriguing. I probably prefer to side with St. Sam than a Horton Couleur. Basically, at the prices, of course, was pretty impressive, beating the Devil's Coachman on Chase debut last time out. But for me, I think Riviere de Tel's done everything right so far. She's getting weight here. It's lining up to be a decent enough race, and I'll probably be siding with Riviere de Tel at about 2-1. We then move on to the 3:15. It's the Irish Gold Cup, and it's lining up to be an absolute cracker. I think it's fair to say. You've got Ken Boy as a 3-1 favourite. Frodon is in there at 10-3. Manila Indo is 7-2. You've got 9-2 about Asterion Phalange, and Janadil is 12-1 and 14-1. Bar those. Now, it's fair to say this is going to be an absolute cracker, but for me, it's also looking like a little bit of a mess in a race, and one perhaps that could perhaps be lacking a little bit of class. If you look at Frodon now, he couldn't really keep up the gallop in the King George. I think he's going to get a much easier time out front. I doubt Robbie Power's going to be trying to challenge him on Manila Indo. I think it'd be silly to do so. It'd be interesting to see what the plan is with Manila Indo. I probably reckon he'll be ridden quite quietly and then go from the back there. Ken Boy he's an absolute warrior, isn't he? But I mean, as short as 3-1, I'd never be able to back him. I know he's returning to his feeding ground of Leopardstown, where he never fails to run a great race. But I think as short as 3-1, he's going to be there or thereabouts. He may be finishing second or third, but for me on the day, there's always one to beat him with just that class edge. Yes, he is the model of consistency, but I'd probably be looking elsewhere. And I'm absolutely going to hate myself for this selection, because I am actually going to give one more chance. I know I said it was going to be one more chance last time, but I'm going to give one more chance to Asterion Phalange. I know. I can't believe I'm doing this, but his jumping does make my heart put my heart in my mouth, I think it's fair to say. But I'm just hoping the return to Leopardstown will be able to bring him back to his best. His only Grade 1 victory was in the Chanel Farmer Novice Hurdle at Leopardstown. He then finished 4th next time out at Leopardstown. He does actually like to get round Leopardstown, which is one thing I'd like to see, of course. Now, he's going left-handed. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. I think a lot of people have said he wants to go right-handed. I think he may be marginally better going right-handed, but he's going to win a big race. He is going to win a big race. I may be completely barking down the wrong tree here, but I do think that he is going to win a big race. Will it be here? I'm not too sure. But at 9-2, Brian Cooper on board. I'm going to give him one last chance and hope that he can make a clear round. If he does get round, I think he's going to be there or thereabouts, and I think it could actually be the day. With regards to Manila Indo, of course, he has plenty of class. He's the reigning Gold Cup winner, but I wouldn't be touching him until Cheltenham. I think he may be able to run a good race and probably finish a respectable 4th, maybe shorten ever so slightly to about 6-1 for the Gold Cup. On the day, I can't really see him going off any bigger than 5-6-1 for the Gold Cup, because everyone knows how much he comes alive there. It's the same thing we saw last year. Of course, he does have a bit to prove, but he definitely demands respect. But I know I'm doing it. Asterion Phalange, my hopes are with you. I'm not going to spend too much time looking at the Future Stars bumper, because of course it does revolve around Facile Vega, and I think he's probably going to do it pretty comfortably, I think it's fair to say. So I'm going to move on to the Novice Chase at 1:20 on the Sunday, and of course Galopin Des Champs is back out, one who I think the hype for him is probably larger than we've seen in many a year. And it's fair to say there was probably good reason why after his sensational beginner's chase win. Now, as a man who's tipped him up at 25-1 for the RSA, the Marsh talk or the Turner's talk is nervy. It's really nervy stuff, and I know a lot of you also have great prices about them, both Bob Bollinger and Galopin Des Champs. Now, I'm just hoping his jumping's not that great, if I'm being honest, and they will opt for the longer trip, because of course Ruby Walsh has come out to say that his jumping was scintillating. It was better than they thought it was going to be, and of course the jumping's going to be more of a test over 2.5, whereas over 3 miles is going to be the slower jumping. And I just hope that he maybe just makes the odd mistake. I obviously want him to get round and win with consummate ease. I think he's going to win and win well, but hopefully if he just makes the mistake or two and plants the seed, hopefully they're up for 3 miles. I'm not too sure if it's Willie Mullins just being Willie Mullins and leaving all the doors open, but I hope that they do opt for that. Now, with regards to the without market, I quite like Capodanno without the favourite. There's not too much price available at the moment, but I thought his performance in behind Bob Bollinger was very respectable. I mean, he kind of had Bob Bollinger bumped along round the home bend, and I think it wasn't a disgrace whatsoever. He pulled 27 lengths clear of Gaillard de Manille in 3rd, who of course is turning into a decent graded yardstick, probably nothing more than that. And I really wouldn't be surprised to see him run a big race and outrun his odds. I think he's 8-1 at the moment. I think the without market, he could be about 7-4, 2-1. I think that would be a decent enough price to hopefully finish in the wake of Galopin Des Champs. Moving on to the Dublin Chase at 150. It's again a little bit of a mess of a race. You've got a lot of revival missions there that you're hoping for from Chacun Pour Soi. I think you can completely put a line through his running the Tingle Creek, but at odds on at 5-6, 4-6, I think you're going to be hoping for a big bounce back. I probably wouldn't be touching it odds on if I'm being honest. You've got Grenadine, of course, who won the Tingle Creek at 10-3. I just think he probably lacks a little bit of proper grade 1 class. I think I may be a little bit harsh in saying that, but I think there's usually something that's going to come and beat him. And today I think it's probably going to be Captain Guinness. Out of everything here, the 7-year-old, he is on an upwards curve. I think he ran a very encouraging race in the Tingle Creek. He stayed on at the line that day, and of course this extended trip I think should definitely play to his strength. So he's still only 7. I think he's definitely on an upwards curve. I think Rachel Blackmore and Captain Guinness have been overlooked in the past behind some exceptional novices, and hopefully I think 5-1 is a good enough price. I think just in case Chacun Pour Soi fails to fire yet again, it's definitely Chacun Pour Soi's race to lose, but hopefully Captain Guinness will be there to pick up the pieces. Look, the Irish Champion Hurdle, 3 o'clock. Is there really any point? Honeysuckle, really? Don't be shrewd, just pick the winner. We then move on to the last race that we're going to preview. It's the Ireland Novice Hurdle over 2 miles. And I think there is a cracking bet in here, if I'm being honest. Now, Sir Gerhard is your 11-8 favourite. You've got 3 Stripe Life at 5-1. El Fabiolo at 11-2. My Mate Mozzie is 6-1. And Statuaire is 8-1. And it's 12-1 bar those. Now, it's a very intriguing race, but I do think Sir Gerhard has been the most overlooked horse of the season for the Supreme. And I think he's probably one of the bets of the week. I know he's only 11-8. It's no fancy prices. I do think he'll probably even drift on the day to around about 6-4. And if you can get 6-4, I think that is an absolutely cracking price. I think he was absolutely flawless on hurdling debut. I thought the way he cleared his obstacles was very exceptional. I think he was very impressive. I actually think he's probably better than Dysart Dynamo. I hope they keep him at 2 miles. That is the one thing I hope, is that he's impressive and they opt for the shorter trip in the Supreme and don't go for the Ballymore, because I do think at the moment he's probably my Supreme winner. I think Constitution Hill has obviously been very impressive, but I think Sir Gerhard has been very overlooked. I hope they do keep him at this minimum trip. Of course, 3 Stripe Life was staying on in Grade 1 company last time out, but I just think Sir Gerhard has all the class. I think he absolutely oozes ability, and I really think he is probably going to be my nap of the week. Sir Gerhard at 11-8, 6-4. I know there's no fancy prices there, but hopefully he'll win this en route to Supreme Novice Hurdle glory. Unfortunately, the outro for the video didn't quite work. Goodness me, technical difficulties have not been on our side today. But nonetheless, we'll give you Sam's nap and next best. His nap, it really does pay me to say. It's going to be Goshen in the 150 at Sandown. I think it's a last chance saloon. He's going back right-handed. Hopefully that will do him the world of good. And Phil Dorr is going to be his next best to turn over Vauban. So fair play to Sam there. I'll put his main selections up just after this at the end of the video so you can see who he's picked. And mine's going to be the nap. It's going to be Sir Gerhard in the Ireland Novice Hurdle. I hope he can properly reinforce his Supreme Novice Hurdle claims tomorrow, and hopefully do the business there. And the nap is going to be Minella Crooner and then Nathaniel Lacey Novices Hurdle over 2 miles 6. I'm not too sure the shortened trip from 3 miles is going to suit him, but hopefully his class will be able to tell. I'm not too fond of hollow games at the top of the market, so hopefully he'll be able to do the business at about 4-1. Again, my main selections will be up at the end of the video. And yes, thank you very much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, keep staying tuned for our Cheltenham Festival preview information, and yeah, have a good weekend.